Hi, friends. We are on chapter 4, day 1. This is Psalm 39. Let's open with prayer. Lord, thank you so much for your word. Thank you that you are present with us as we dig into it. Lord, teach us about yourself. We want to know you. In the name of Jesus, amen. Okay, let's read. I said, I will guard my ways that I may not sin with my tongue. I will guard my mouth with a muzzle so long as the wicked are in my presence. I was mute and silent. I held my peace to no avail, and my distress grew worse. My heart became hot within me. As I mused, the fire burned. Then I spoke with my tongue. O Lord, make me know my end, and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting I am. Behold, you have made my days a few handbreadths, and my lifetime is as nothing before you. Surely all mankind stands as a mere breath. Selah. Surely a man goes about as a shadow. Surely for nothing they are in turmoil. Man heaps up wealth and does not know who will gather. And now, O Lord, for what do I wait? My hope is in you. Deliver me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. I am mute. I do not open my mouth, for it is you who have done it. Remove your stroke from me. I am spent by the hostility of your hand. When you discipline a man with rebukes for sin, you consume like a moth what is dear to him. Surely all mankind is a mere breath. Selah. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear to my cry. Hold not your peace at my tears, for I am a sojourner with you, a guest like all my fathers. Look away from me that I may smile again before I depart and am no more. Okay, an interesting lament psalm, isn't it? Last week, as we looked at laments, we really talked about these 5 parts that often make up a lament psalm. And we see these back on page 50 of the workbook. There's the opening address. There's the description of the plight that the psalmist is in, or his complaint. There's a petition or plea for help. There's a profession of trust in the Lord. And then finally, there's this vow to praise. It's a pledge or a vow to praise. I'm not sure we see all of those parts in this psalm. Do you? I would love to know. As far as an opening address, I asked that in the margin here. Where's the opening address? It seems like in these first few verses, the psalmist is just talking to himself, doesn't it? Perhaps the opening address is in verse 4 when he says, "Oh Lord." It's almost as if the psalmist is sort of talking to himself. He's in his own thoughts, in his own mind, in his own thoughts. I'm not sure quite how to say that. I feel like I'm missing the best way to say that. In his own head. That's what I'm looking for. My husband says that about our dog. Oh, he's in his own head. Friends, do you ever get into your own head? I am guilty of this. And I love how this psalm starts. I mean, the psalmist is trying to be respectful to God, right? He's holding back. And so he is in his own head. And he's, but I asked this question. Let's see. One, I asked, well, why is the psalmist mute and silent? He does not want to sin with his tongue. And then I asked, how effective is this approach? And I wrote, it's not very effective because we see the psalmist says, number 1, I held my peace to no avail. So being silent had no avail. Number 2, he says, my distress grew worse. Number 3, my heart became hot within me. And number 4, as I mused, the fire burned. And that mused, I looked that up, it just means a sighing, a sighing. Now, I can probably, friends, relate to this more in other relationships, not necessarily with God, but if I'll just use an example with my husband. There have been times when I have sighed within me, when I've tried to keep silent, but things just begin sort of boiling up. And I called these first few verses, I said, this sounds volcano-like. And I was just like, oh my, have I ever been here? And again, like, I feel like I've been here more with other relationships, but what I see and what I love is we're given permission to enter into this with the Lord, right? I mean, the psalmist must feel safe with the Lord in order to be able to just be this frank with God. So we see in verses 1 through 3 this inner turmoil of the psalmist. But then there's a turn, right, in verse 3. Verse 3 ends with the psalmist saying, then I spoke with my tongue. And I was like, uh-oh. I wrote down the volcano is about to erupt here. And again, that has happened in other relationships. And when I think about it, like, I've never really thought about my relationship with the Lord being like this. At times it has. I just maybe haven't recognized that until today. So verses 4 through 6, I asked this question, well, what's up with measuring of days here? I mean, everything's about this breath of life. And verse 4, we see David seeking information. Like, it seems like he's making a plea for help or a request from God, but I don't think he really is. I think he's just spewing. He says, oh Lord, make me know my end and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting I am. But then in verse 5, he kind of goes on to answer his own question or his own quest of knowledge, like he already knows, right? Behold, you've made my days a few handbreadth. My lifetime is as nothing before you. Like, I already know this is fleeting. And so, friends, I don't know about you, but I sort of see verses 4 through 6 as David he's kind of spewing here. I don't think he really is asking God for information. I think he's lamenting his plight. And then on top of it, he doesn't just lament his own plight. He laments the plight of the whole world. And this kind of, maybe it's like the plight of all men, right? All people are going to die. All people are but a breath. But do you do the same? Like, you're lamenting something in your own life, but then the more you lament, the more it just builds up, the more you add to it. I don't know if that's making sense at all, but I feel like that's a bit what David is doing here. And that's not to make light. I don't say that to make light of whatever it is David is facing. Obviously, he's in great turmoil. Obviously, there's something difficult going on in his life. But in this section, I think he's just sort of spewing. Life is but a breath. It's fleeting. It's futile. It's frustrating. It's meaningless. And spewing is the best word I've got. So then we get to verse 7, and here the psalm takes a turn, and we see this in some of the psalms with words like, and now. Here's a turning point. And now what? Oh Lord, for what do I wait? So David asks a question, what do I wait? And he answers it. My hope is in you. I mean, and the question begged for only one answer, right? There's not multiple answers to David's question of what he waits for. There's only one answer. This is the Lord. And here I think we do see a profession of trust, right? Here is faith. I also think, this whole psalm in a way is maybe, I don't think profession of trust is the right word to use, but I think it demonstrates David's trust in the Lord, that he feels safe to spew. He feels safe to share his inmost being with the Lord. So there's a sense of trust, and there's a sense of trust that deliverance belongs to the Lord. So I think then, friends, what I put is we see David's plea for help for real starting in verse 8. Deliver me. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. Verse 10, remove your stroke from me. Down in verse 12, hear my prayer, O Lord. Give ear to my cry. Hold not your peace at my tears. Verse 13, look away from me. All right, a cry for help. This is a plea for help. Help for what? What is the psalmist's complaint? What is he complaining about? That was another question that I asked. And I think that we see that in verse 8. He says, deliver me from all my transgressions. So he's asking for help from his own sin, his own transgressions that he knows the Lord knows, right? There's something going on between him, and there's a reason that David feels like he's being punished by the Lord, that the Lord is disciplining him for a time period. And that's kind of the conclusion that I came to here with verses 4 through 6. I don't think that David is asking, like I put, is the real question, how long will this affliction last? How long, Lord, am I going to be in time out? Versus how long, Lord, am I going to live? David knows that life is but a breath, but I think he's wanting to know, Lord, how long am I going to be punished for my sin? How long am I in time out with you? I think there's a longing here for things to be right between David and the Lord. And it's interesting, I didn't find a pledge to praise or a vow to praise. Did you? This is just honest speaking. This is the psalmist speaking honestly his inner turmoil to the Lord. This is a unique lament. I think we can learn from it. I think we can apply it to our own lives. It is okay. It is okay, Carmen, to lament, to be yourself before the Lord. And so, friends, my application today, this may sound so weird and so bizarre, but I'm giving thanks to God. I said thanks to God for his mercy and grace that he allows, that he puts up with our inward focus and our outbursts. And he simply invites us to come to him just as we are. Let's talk. Let's just spend some time with him talking about that. And I'd say praising him and thanking him and trusting him.